Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Aman Gathania and welcome back to my channel. Well, from last few days, I've been getting questions on GCK account. Someone wants to know their application status or whether their application has been moved from processing to the review stage. I also want to know whether their medical has been updated over the portal or not. Students who have got the PPR, they also want to download the original passport request letter and also the correspondence letter from their GCK account to initiate the passport submission request process. So we will try to cover all those questions in this video. And yep, let's begin. Well, the screen right now that you can see over my system is the login screen wherein a student has to put in the username and password to log in. Once you put in your username and password, you will be redirected to the validation page of your account, where you have to answer to the validation question. And this validation question is either created by you while creating your account, and you must have saved the answers on this question, or maybe by your agent while creating your account. So you can have a quick word with your agent and get the answer to all the validation questions. Once you are through with your validation page, you will be redirected again to the home page of your account. So this screenshot is actually the home page, and this home page includes all the key details about your application, starting with your name on the top, the number, application number, the date when you submitted your application, and also the link to check your application status. Once you click this link, you will be again redirected to a new page, and this is the application status and the messages page. Starting from the left section, you can see right now the medical result date. In my case, my medical got updated on 22nd of February. So the date is reflecting, and also with a sentence saying that you pass the medical exam. On the right section, you can see certain key details about my application, including your unique client identifier number, which is UCI number, your application number, which starts with S. Then comes the date received, which is actually the date when you submitted your application, and the date when this application submitted got received by the ISCC, and also the details related to your biometrics, including your biometrics number, your date of biometric enrollment. In my case, it was December 21st, and also the expiry date of your biometrics. On the bottom half of the screen, you will find details about your application status, and lots of questions come from this screen only, including a question of review of eligibility. Students want to know if they do get an automated email notification of when their application is moved from processing to the review stage. Well, student doesn't get any email notification onto this pointer because ISAC doesn't put any date, or also they don't put any email notification as well, so they don't get any emails. If case you want to know whether your application has been moved to the processing to the review stage, you have to log into your GCK account, and then only you can know whether your application has been put into the review stage. If your application is put into the review stage, the sentence will be like, we are reviewing whether you meet the eligibility requirement or not. If your application is still into the processing stage, this pointer will say that your application is into the processing stage, and if there is any update, we will update or we will inform you. But there is no such email notification that a student gets when their application uh, gets one level up from processing to the review stage. Second pointer related to the medical results. Again, there is no such email notification once your medical gets updated over the portal. So students should not get, they shouldn't get worried about it, because lots of students do raise this question that uh, is there any email notification when when my medical gets updated over the portal or not, or as I have already covered in the review of eligibility state, students do raise this question that I don't know whether my review has been started or not, and also the review date. So you can only determine your medical result update date or your review of eligibility date if you are regular with logging to your GCK account. So the best practice is that a student should log into their GCK account daily, and they should have a quick look at their account related to the statuses and the important messages from the IRCC. Coming on to the third pointer, which is review of additional documents. If there is any need from the IRCC for the students to upload an additional document, they will put up a statement over here. And also there will be a link in the lower half of the screen to upload all those additional documents which is asked by IRCC. There is no need of an interview. Biometrics, well, when your biometrics gets updated, it will be getting reflected over here, which will be your biometric state. Then comes the final decision. Well, if your application has got approved, it will say that your application was approved. If your application has got rejected, it will say that your application has got rejected, followed up with the reason. And also that if your application is still into the processing stage, your final decision pointer will say that your application is into the processing stage, and if there is any update, we will inform you and all those things. So the bottom line is that if your application gets approved, you will definitely see that the sentence stating that your application has got approved, and you need to send us the valid passport to finalize your application, which is actually the passport submission request process, two-way courier process. Coming on to the lower half of this screen again, which is the messages table about your application. So the first message that a student gets is when they submit their application, and these messages include confirmation and also the submission confirmation. Within 24 to 48 hours of your submission of the application, student gets the biometrics collection letter as well. So they need to download this biometrics collection letter and also take a printout of it and take it while enrolling their biometrics. Then comes the correspondence letter. So when your review of eligibility is done, IRCC or someone who is reviewing your application will definitely update the correspondence letter over your account. And this correspondence letter says that your biometrics is valid from this date to this date. This correspondence letter is also called the biometrics validation letter, as it is the biometrics validity of your application. Now coming on to the original passport request pointer, which is the most important pointer of all of your application statuses and the messages. Once your application gets approved and also the biometrics validation is uploaded over your account, after 35 to 40 minutes, or maybe after 15 minutes, or maybe after 1 hour, and few students have got a big delay of 1 day, in fact, IRCC guys will put up your original passport request letter saying that your application has been approved, and they will need your this documents to finalize the passport stamping process and also the two-way courier process. So you need to download the correspondence letter. You need to download the original passport request letter while submitting your passport for the stamping, and also a few other documents that I have already covered. And these documents are courier and SMS form and consent form. So yep, this is all about your GCK account, and you should never hesitate in asking credentials about your application from the agent, and agent should support you by providing the key basically your credentials on your account. And one more important thing is that please do not make any changes onto your account before consulting with your agent, because any messed up thing that you do over your GCK account will have a cascading effect on your application process as well. So please do not make any changes or any modifications onto your account before consulting your agent. And the daily activity of any student should only be confined within login with your credentials, and then just checking your application status, and that's it. Or maybe downloading the original passport request letter and correspondence letter and not doing anything else.